Have you been scrolling listings lately and thinking, there's no way I can afford a house, especially right now? And with things rising and everything being on the up and up, is it really a good time to buy? Well, today I'm breaking down some hidden gems that first time homebuyers are snagging up, and you'll actually see the reason why and how to present a good offer to help you win those. Hey everyone, my name is Carson Detman, local realtor here in Greenville, Michigan, and I am so happy to present this video with you guys. And genuinely, these are some things that I wish more people knew about, but then again, if more people knew about them, then they wouldn't necessarily be a secret. And more people need to just understand that these neighborhoods are real hidden gems. All right, let's start with a reality check. Because I know the headlines make it sound impossible to buy right now. There's incredibly low inventory and prices and everything have just gone up. Well, the median sale price in Greenville is sitting around $280,000. Yes, that is nearly up 15% from last year, and that is a big jump. There's no doubt about that. But here's what the headlines don't tell you. Not every neighborhood is moving at the same pace. There are still affordable areas in Greenville, and sometimes, obviously, you don't need to win the lottery or somehow magically land on this, but you just have to accept that even though it's not going to be a waterfront mansion, that first-time homebuyers can actually find great starter homes in this area. So let's talk neighborhoods. There are two areas in particular that stand out right now for first-time homebuyers, and it's the southeastern and northeastern parts of Greenville. These are what I like to call Greenville's quiet achievers. They're full of homes that were affordable 5 to 10 years ago, and they've really appreciated nicely. And they're actually still below the city's average price point. If you're a first-time homebuyer looking to stay under $250,000, these neighborhoods are where you want to focus your search. You'll find equally well-kept ranch-style homes and sometimes even 2 stories that are considered starter homes. And they've seen some of the highest percentage in equity growth in Greenville. Meaning, you aren't just buying your first home. You're planting a financial seed that could grow into your next home down the road. I know it can feel sometimes really stressful, especially if you feel like you're competing against cash buyers or people who are able to put 20% down, but sometimes those people aren't necessarily looking in the exact neighborhoods you're also looking in. And as a matter of fact, homes that are around the 200 to 250,000 range are getting less traction than one might expect, which is great news for you because if the home either is sitting on the market for longer, it means that you might be able to get a discount on the home. Now, when I say discount, I mean just not, completely lowballing them, saying, "Oh, I'll give you this much for the home that's priced this much," but you get the idea. It's just, hey, I noticed the home has been on the market for some time, and gauging on how much interest you've had on it, we want to go with this offer. And that's kind of where negotiations start. But that isn't the end of these neighborhoods. Now, here's something that might surprise you. Not every first-time homebuyer has to buy an old fixer-upper. Right now, Greenville has a brand new development called the Hathaway Green, and they're building 172 new homes. And some of them are at really competitive entry-level prices. Now, I know new homes sound intimidating, but builders are starting to realize that there's a real demand for young buyers and growing families. And sometimes people aren't fully realizing that buying a newer home isn't necessarily the worst thing for them. Because think about it. Let's say you bought a resale home and it, granted, need quite a bit of work. You are paying for that work, and that could stack up. You could end up being in what some people call a money pit, right? If you get a new home, if, so let's say you buy a new home and pretty much everything is under warranty. Well, you aren't necessarily going to be worried that, oh, what if the heater goes out? Or what if the AC goes out? Do we even know the age of the roof? Like, all of these are, legitimate concerns, but if you're buying a newly built home, all of those concerns are not as big of a worry to you. Because let's say if your furnace went out, your AC went out, or your roof leaked, odds are that's covered by the warranty of the builder. And you'd be like, well, this is just a freak accident because I know that everything is new. And sometimes that can provide a ton of peace of mind for people. Plus, you have to realize that these builders are not just building homes for just random sake. They're building them more energy efficient. They have low maintenance. And again, they do have warranties. So just don't rule it out, because even though it's not necessarily your grandparents' idea of a starter home, but for today's market, it does make a little bit of sense. Don't necessarily go for that perfect home. Finding the perfect home is nice, but it is very much few and far between. And the only way that you can really find the perfect home is if you build it yourself, which not a lot of people are in a financial position to do that. So let's say you find a home and it ticks 90% of your boxes. Do not wait. Do not wait any longer. If it takes 90% of your boxes, go for it. Because you don't want to miss out on a house that was almost there. For a house that either isn't there or you're going to be waiting maybe even a couple more years for. Which, if you aren't necessarily building equity and you get into a lease and now you're renting again and all of your money is going to waste, when you could have gotten a house that ticked 90% of your boxes, and let's say it did appreciate 15%. Well, congratulations, you just gained an extra 15% in your home value, which is, again, huge and not necessarily something people are putting together. They're not putting two and two together, that sometimes people are just straight up using their equity from one home and purchasing their next. And as soon as more people start realizing that, well, the better. Real estate is mostly an investment. And yes, it is your biggest asset, but it's also a huge asset that recently just keeps appreciating. Which, if you just want to buy an asset that's going to keep making you money or relatively gain you more and more equity into it, why not just go for it? Why restrict yourself to something that could give you leverage for a better home? Even though that home maybe tick off 90% of your boxes, it could be the very home that you use as a stepping stone to get that next one. Every homeowner you know who's sitting on a ton of equity today started with that first step. And often it's a modest step. If you're a first-time home buyer in Greenville and are really, really stressed about the process, trust me, I do have a guide for you. Just comment buyer in the description or reach out to me and message me privately. I do have a website. It is at the top of the description. And if you go there, you can find all of my guides. You can even start your home search as well as book a one-on-one session with me. Let's get down to business. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And until next time, see ya.